Let's take a deep breath together for this one, because I'm going to go a little extra controversial, which might be a little dangerous, but I figure say the things while you're here on planet Earth in a body. Do the best you can to shed some light and tell some truths. And it lands where it needs to. It goes where it is supposed to go, and it does what it is supposed to do. So here's my little confessional of sorts. And what do I mean by that? I mean in that reality TV talking head way that the entire Illuminati, Freemason, Satanic, Luciferian, eugenics cult likes to do. Slipping in their case, slipping in truth mixed with lies. In my case, just conspiracy theory / pattern recognitionist / dot connector / targeted by the cult for nearly a decade and assigned absurd failed handlers who couldn't even handle, you know, being honest or real for 1 second of their womb to tomb miserable lives. So is that judgmental of me, or am I being sarcastic? Yes and yes. And those are tools and weapons I've had to develop along the way because they don't hear you. And they don't hear you when you're sweet. They don't hear you when you're a bitch. They just don't hear you. So you're just speaking for yourself then at that point. And for anyone else who's listening who may benefit or connect or relate, because they don't hear you. Your tormentors aren't going to hear you. They aren't going to suddenly develop a conscience, a backbone, morals, a spine, or a set of cojones, right? So that's up to the whistleblowers, the overcomers, the survivors, and the normies even to awaken and to enlighten people on what this world really is and not what we're sold and told that it is. So I am going to drop a few little names here, and I've done it before in podcasts, so this is not new, but I'm, having a new framing for a lot of things, and I'm, of course, more lucid than ever about the Luciferians, lucid about the Luciferians, and clear that their tactics are just carrot and stick, tail spinning, kind of shenanigans, malarkey, nonsense, and garbage, basically. Anything curated for optics is just not even worth acknowledging. However, it's part of my purge and healing from PTSD of the slime and the filth and the evil that I have experienced. The gang stalking, the bullying, the lies. Oh my God, the lies. And then, I made these accusations early on about these people that, one was a womanizer, one was a pedophile. And then I realized, oh, the reason they got so butthurt is not because they are not those things, though they keep denying and deflecting, but because everyone in that cult has had to, or feels they have had to, through blackmail, do heinous things. So I think they have in their mind a compartmentalization or MK Ultra or alters or something that thinks that they really didn't do those things. Even if their body did them, they were hijacked or possessed, or entities made them do it, or the devil made them do it, or alcohol or drugs made them do it, or somebody having a gun to their head and filming it made them do it. So they in some ways feel that their innocence is intact because they feel it was from survival, just like um, anyone who's been preyed upon. So I understand that aspect of it. That is a very satanic mindset of do as thou wilt. You got to do what you got to do. And then they also have the mindset of give to get. So that's where all the sacrifice comes in. If you want to get a yacht, you got to give them a family member. If you want to get a career or an Oscar or Grammy, you got to give them, someone you care about. And go through humiliation rituals and initiations and hazing, which is just, it's elaborate, it's a lot, and it's an infrastructure, and it's dying, thank goodness. And as it implodes and crashes and burns, there's the death throes of the patriarchy, there's the death throes of the New World Order. It's not going according to their very long con plans of wiping out the human race. It's just not going well for them. And they're not very good at improvising, to be honest. They're just, um, maybe I won't drop names. I don't have to. They're all just one hive mind. It's a hydra with different heads. And so it is on your left and on your right and in your red camp and in your blue camp. It is the radical young, uh, outspoken ones, and it is the old jaded ones, the dinosaurs. It's all of them. If they've gotten a certain level of, we'll call it A-list fame. I call it A for asshole. That's just me. And I only kind of nervously giggle when I'm talking about these things because I know that my life is in danger, and you know that I don't want to put other people in harm's way like that because of the absolute psychopaths who are stalkers, who are peeping toms and voyeurs, and the flip side of that would be the exhibitionists and the beta kitties and the ones who have to go through the gamut of, oh, the nice girl, the virgin, the American cheerleader pop queen versus the dark, moody, broody, warlocky, vampy, trampy player type. I mean, that's just for some archetypal, kind of context that it feels like we're in a giant high school called Planet Earth, and that's on a good day. It's really more junior high, and it doesn't have the innocence or purity of elementary school or preschool anymore, but it does have the tantrums, right? So what you're dealing with here is people who have sold out. I could often call them puppets or shills, or it's almost like Lucifer is the ventriloquist and they're the dummies, and I mean that in every sense of that word. The crash test dummies, the collateral damage and the wars in their own heads and hearts, if they even have them anymore. And yeah, I do think they're sellouts and shills and puppets. Again, that's my judgment, and I have earned it, and I call it more discernment than judgments. These are just truths that are inconvenient to the cult, because when people can see through them, can understand the heinous things they have to do to get and to attain and maintain fame. So I always say, if you know their name, they are in the game. If they're a household, their faces in your living room or on your little phone screen, then they have done horrible things to profit from the harm of children and the sale of children. And they look away. They look away. They take the money. They look away. They make Michael Jackson jokes. They make, you get your, I will drop one name because he's dropped himself, but Bob Saget, right, for example. That was a really weird situation, and it deserved a lot more attention in the press. But because these people are famous, they get to pull the "please respect our privacy" card, and it's like, but if you've committed crimes on that scale and at that level, you have forfeited your right to privacy, and you don't allow us any privacy, so why should we respect yours? It makes no sense. That's a publicist's spin line anyway, right? They hide behind publicists, behind the machine, behind their fame, behind their cult, behind their money, behind each other, because that's one of the vows they take in the brotherhood, is to protect each other no matter what. No matter how heinous their crimes are, they will protect another cult member over the innocent every time. And they will target the innocent and double down and triple down and push you down and kick you when you're down. And so this is not me doing victim talk either. This is me exposing evil, which is an important role at this time for humanity's individual and collective development. Now, yeah, do I have to be a crusader and, save the world, put on a cape and tights? No, I've been accused of that by what I thought were friends. No, that's not, I don't have a savior complex. I have a heart for humanity, and I have a soul that, while compromised in the sense of that I have rage and I have unforgiveness and I have a lack of compassion for people who are children, that's something I have to work on. That's something I have to make right and make peace with my creator and my own karmic journey, right? And that's an ongoing thing for me. I put up a video yesterday of a poor little ladybug struggling. I had put out a plastic drop cloth. I was doing some painting, and the ladybug just kind of got a little bit, couldn't find traction, couldn't, It was very slippery, and so it was a little comical, and I thought it was like a lesson in it, and a test and a gift all wrapped into one, because that's how Creator operates, and how Lucifer, the opposite forces, the opposing dark forces, the Sith, how they operate is steal, kill, destroy, and how anybody who wants to lean more into Christ consciousness or Sophia wisdom, or you know you can go New Age and say Gaia, you can go Christian and say God. There's it's just a lot of vocabulary, guys. Sometimes we just have to get past the vocabulary and the polarization and the indoctrination and programming. Like now I kind of do cringe when I hear a lot of programs that are just so old and steeped in what we have come to call the patriarchy, which hurts everyone, men, women, and children. And I think a lot of us can agree on that. And I would say the same about, just coming up with these trad wife versus incel versus, just these factions of fake activists who will get up in arms about ridiculous issues, but not about the safety and well-being of women and children. So I get discouraged, I get frustrated, I get annoyed, I get irritated. I'm a postmenopausal woman, and I have very little patience for absolute bullshit. And for, people who come off as charming or charismatic, but who are hurting children behind the scenes or in rituals. I have no patience left for any of that, actually. So I'm long gone, and I have been, and they continue to, take my temperature and test and try to, vet and recruit and reject all at once, because again, those are the cold tactics of keep you confused, keep you, of course, like old school cold tactics are body shaming and making you feel old or fat or broke or sick, or like you're never going to get ahead. You won't, they do this whole follow your dreams, and then you can't do that, or that's delusional, or that's unlikely, or that's not going to happen, that's impossible. And then you go, okay, well, which is it? Because I grew up with, you can do anything, you can be anything, and it's but not that, don't do that. It's well, the mixed signals are a little much from the narcissistic, again, Illuminati cult and Freemasons. And why do I keep coming back to those labels in particular, and people roll their eyes at me because I use them so often, is because you have to understand, you don't have to do anything, but it's useful and helpful for the times we are in and where we are going, to understand, who the slave owners are, who the oppressors are, who the liars are, who the evil ones are. And they don't want to see themselves that way. They get so sensitive about being called these labels, misogynist or womanizer or pedophile, because then you find out later, much later, about the gender inversion, the elite gender inversion, and how that affects them, because they take the opposite hormones their whole life. And that's a whole other rabbit hole. People just, maybe they're ready, maybe they're not, but I have to, I have 3 people I can talk to about that, and I'm glad that there are at least 3. And I think there will be more going forward. People just look at you like you've sprung a, third nipple and where your third eye is, if you talk about that part. But then, they won't do the research either. They won't actually delve into it or try to debunk or disprove it. So they just dismiss it, without curiosity, without exploration. And they don't want to hear any explanations, right? They're just really locked into their programming, their cult ways. They've drunk the Kool-Aid, on both sides. Again, red and blue, same thing. It's 2 sides of the same coin, 2 wings of the same bird, right? A very diseased, dying, angry bird. It's an angry bird, this cult. And we want to be peaceful birds. We want to be more like doves than, whatever, DODOS. And so, where is I going with this? I just want to say, nobody owes you anything. Not their time, their energy, their affection, their money, their body, their good opinion. Nobody owes you anything. And yet, decency and basic human respect and mature and evolved and healthy communication, those are good things to strive for. And connection, connectivity, community, these are great things to strive for. Remember, my dad was a superintendent of a pretty progressive and liberal school back school system back in Brookline, Massachusetts, and he'd been in the Boston inner city system for a long time. So he went from being this tall, 6'4" blonde guy who was in Boston, which was very racially diverse, to Brookline, where is primarily wealthy and Jewish people, and he was this just Irish kid who used to caddy and you know grew up, pretty like lower middle class and practically poor and had to figure out his own way. And so I am my father's daughter, and he was a leader. He was a natural born leader, and I lead differently than he did. He was an Aquarius. I know a lot of you won't think that matters, but the air signs really live a lot in their heads, and they intellectualize things, and that they can get very overthinky thinkers. In how do I know this? I have I have Libra moon and Libra rising, and I have Aries sun. So Aries is my passionate, feisty side. It's my actions-oriented side. It's my get shit done side. My Libra dreamy side is like, oh, let's putter in the garden. Let's, go for a swim. Let's enjoy beauty and take photographs. That's how I see that. I feed my own fire with my own air, and I have a strong intellect and strong intuition. And that's me tooting my own horn because nobody else will. So you got to do it for yourself. Pat, pat, toot, toot is what I say sometimes, especially for women, because we are treated like less than garbage, like invisible and a threat. So it's a really weird combo, actually, by the peeping Johns of the world. And the pimps, the wannabe pimps and players, right? The player's gonna play, 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 play. The haters gonna hate, 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 hate. Shake it off, shake it off. It's the only lyric I really can retain, thank goodness. Anyway, there you go. There's my concert. You all want to throw money at me for being a sellout shill puppet? Anyway, yeah. So basically, look at this way: the more famous they are, the more evil they are. That is how I now see that. No matter what kind of front-facing philanthropy, you know, moves they try to make to look like they have a good reputation and they're grounded and down to earth and they didn't get caught up in it. They're very humble. No, no, no. They're hurting kids in ritual to get to that level where they shake their ass in sequins on a stage for thousands and then with live streaming millions of people, right? You have to be able to talk to people on both sides and reach everybody in the hard space. And, well, you don't do that by being fake. You don't do that by being in a fake lavender union and living a lie. You don't do that. You don't change the world by being closeted in one way or another, or hidden away, or forced to hide or run. You don't get to change the world, but you can change your own world. You can change it one thought, one breath, and one blink at a time by being as raw and authentic as you are brave enough to be. And one thing, I may not have always been the smartest, the most calculated, the most strategic, but I was and am brave. And I wasn't always the most innocent, but I was naive. There's differences, there's nuances between these different states of being and these different vibrational realities. So I guess my main point for today is we now know, or we're starting to, or, levels of muggles and normies versus the people who understand the concepts of magic and alchemy and black magic in particular and spells. Not that I understand them because I don't do them, but I understand they exist and I understand they are very threatened by people who are honest. Like, honesty is their kryptonite, you guys. It's really amazing. And it's our divine protection. The more honest we can be with ourselves and with each other and with the world at large, the more we can love. The more we can give and receive genuine love rather than give and receive hate or threats or deception and distortion, psyops and withholding and blacklisting and, again, gang stalking and cyberbullying and all that stuff. Like, I am going to say the Kardashians are some of the worst warlock witch bitches on this planet, and they have totally personally bullied me for years. And then they backed off when I started calling them out. So that was good. That is good. When you call it out, all of a sudden they realize that you might be documenting things, for example, or that even though they have the wealth and the power on their side right now, that the tides are turning and the scales are tipping. And I'm not accusing anyone of anything other than my own experience and sharing what I feel I have lived through. Can I prove this stuff? I mean, sometimes yes, but it's, again, pattern recognition over time. And I don't say this stuff to keep myself in victim loops. I say it to get myself out and to have sanity checks and to, yeah, kind of as a cautionary tale for others of don't want to be famous. Don't, like I did, hairbrush microphone, pink foam curlers, footy pajamas, dancing around to Irene Cara's song Fame. When I was a kid, I'm gonna live forever. I'm gonna learn how to fly high. Well, you know who flew high and a little too high and close to the sun was Icarus. And he got his little wings melted off and fell. So all of us here are probably fallen in some way, fallen from grace, fallen from, our cosmic memory and our multidimensionality. And the famous ones are just more fallen, so we all fall. We all fall down. Ashes, ashes, we all fall down. And then we all rise up like the phoenix from those ashes. And the real kind, not just like a cute code name for, like a gamer kind of thing, but actual phoenix, like actual burn off your own ego and your own bullshit and your own lies, your own cowardice. If you're going to be a phoenix and rise from the ashes of the fire you created, then just get honest, get brave. And if you can't, then get gone. At this stage of life and humanity and evolution, or devolution or revolution or wherever we're at. So this is my little channeling and my words for the day to take you into a really powerful state of being able to, yes, manifest and co-create and allow and align with and surrender to a whole new timeline, a whole new earth, not new world order, but a whole new earth where, and not in some new age way, right? But where we do visualize, envision, and anchor better stories, better people, better, leaders and role models. Because to me, I'm going to be honest, I never knew about Michael Jackson until I finally encountered someone who claimed he'd been molested by him. I mean, I met this person in Hawaii, in Maui, and he was very matter-of-fact about it. He was very lucid, very sane. He'd been a backup dancer for him, and he said it's an open secret. People know. Well, because of popularity, people don't want to look at like a Trump or a Michael Jackson and see the darkness, or they want to make excuses. Well, he was raised in that. He didn't know any different. He, she, it, they, them, whatever was going on there. How many clones? How many lookalikes? How many doubles? How many masked, beings do they try to pass off? It wasn't just Jim Carrey and that weird recent whoever that was. They or Christina Aguilera or Avril, what's her name? Avril Lavigne. Like, it's not just these theories. Britney Spears. It's not just these theories of these beta kitty clone inverts, right? It's this whole other reality and a whole other race. They're Baphomet worshippers. They have their own cultures and traditions, and they're dark and they're evil and they're twisted and it's normal for them, right? And yet they reach for the light like anybody reaches for the light, like a sunflower reaches for the light. And when they get close to it, they feel burned or they feel scared or they feel inadequate or they have that, what do they call it? Fear of God. Never resonated to that one. I feel we're supposed to love God and have awe and reverence for God or creator or source or universe or however you call it. But fear is the exact opposite. That's what they call the enemy, the adversary, or the dark dominion is fear. So if there really are two main forces on this planet, fear versus love, fear or love, fear and love, then we need to lean ever more into love. And love, it tells the truth. Love doesn't run. Love doesn't hide. Love doesn't play games. It doesn't use proxies. It dials direct. It shows up and it humbles itself and it gets real and raw and nitty gritty. And it's not like Will Smith slapping Chris Rock and saying the things we do for love. No, that's a Luciferian staged game. Okay, staged and rigged. So it is all fake news, all of it, every bit of it. And the only real news is like watching a ladybug, try to get, like a turtle, like flip itself over and find its legs and find its wings. That's us. So sometimes we need a little help. I had to help that ladybug off the plastic, so it was, was just like skating. It was like flipping itself around on its back and then trying to find traction and trying to take off. And it's all of us. The little ladybug video I took yesterday. I was laughing. I was a little bit teary about it. It was like just a powerful moment that, these people who think they're powerful, it's false power. These people who think they shine, it's false shine. It's glitter. It's not real gold. These gold diggers, these gold chasers, these clout chasers, these people who are always seeking greed in some form or fashion. They're never satisfied. They're never content. I get it. We all have that human hunger inside us and that human desire to satiate that hunger. And then that can spin into addictions, and it can spin into horrible, toxic connections and trauma bonds, right? But I thank God almost daily for a couple of things and a couple of people. One is Jessica Simpson's Tell All. I'm probably one of the 7 people that read it, even though it's a bestseller. When you see them having a bestseller on the New York Times list, just roll your eyes and laugh, because that's absolutely rigged, just like elections are selections and cabal installed. They pick who they want to push forth. They pick who they want to exalt. They pick who they want to ignore and denigrate and mock and plagiarize. They pick that. So if I sound bitter, it's because on that topic, yeah, I am. I feel that's wildly unjust, imbalanced, unfair, and gross to push forward people who are pretentious and obnoxious rather than real. Right? Like, I want more real. Don't you want more real? I think we all actually want more real. Even the fake ones want more real, more depth. I want to know the real thing about you. That's a lyric, right? So they lie in their lyrics and they tell truth in their lyrics, but mostly they lie to themselves, most of all, that they want to just have a normal life. They want to have kids and, schedules that revolve around their children and their careers rather than around a connection that they would develop to their own soul, because they don't care about that. They don't give a rat's ass about their own soul or anybody else's. They care about money. They care about status. They care about rank and power games. And they care about image. That's really the biggest thing they care about. They're in their ego. They are in their fear. And we all have ego, right? You can have healthy ego, which is confidence and knowing who you are and what you will and will not support or tolerate. And then there's the people who make the pedophilic jokes and think it's just jokes. It's just funny. It's just, come on, lighten up. You're fine. It's okay. You didn't get hurt. Get up. Shake it off. Shake it off. Calm down. Anyway, not for all the money in the world would I ever want to swap places with any of them. That's something I've come to, and that makes me feel rich and purposeful and grounded and clear. And, if you have that side to you that is visionary, luminary, heart leader, soul, warrior, then my heart goes to you, because it's not easy in this realm. It's just not. But it doesn't have to be as hard as we make it either. Right? So we breathe, we drop all concepts of judgment or, compassion, because that's really another program, and overthinking versus and anxiety versus regulation. Just see these words as programming and break through it all, and don't even judge your judgments. They're there for a reason. You're learning and growing from all of it, or you're not, and you're staying stuck and looping, and that's a choice too. So there you go. There are your thoughts for the moment and for this time in history, which is wild. Once I was young and wild and free, and beautiful, and now I'm just beautiful, right? I'm still wild. I'm still free. I'm no longer young. And beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And in my Creator's eyes, I am exactly as He made me. Or she, or they. I don't know the pronouns of the deities anymore. Who knows? So let's take a deep breath together and wish ourselves a great, aligned, and purposeful and playful day. And let's let go of the programming. That's my big spiel, is and then don't let that become a program either. But when you see it, when you question your thoughts and your your own mind, then you can go crazy there, or you can come to some level of sanity and peace of knowing that it's not that you're satisfied that you were right. You wanted to be wrong. God, you wanted to be wrong. But you can feel a sense of calm over that you don't feel like you're being split anymore. You know, you're not being fragmented into all these pieces, these puzzle pieces that they want to pick apart and analyze and try to put together in a different way. You're not a puzzle. You're just beautiful. So just be beautiful. You don't have to be confusing. Clarity is a gift, and only, kind people, genuinely kind people, will give you clarity. Yeah, so stay brave. It's strange times, indeed. And it sometimes weighs heavy, but I will say with clarity and with complete strength and firmness and bravery, I will never kill myself. I tried when I was 33, and I'm glad that it didn't work. It's nothing better than to be a failure at that. So if I'm going to be a failure, I'm going to go all in. I'm going to fail at who you thought I should be. I'm going to fail at who you wanted me or needed me to be. I'm going to fail you. I'm going to disappoint you because I was not born to be who you think I should be. I was born to be who Creator wants me to be. And that's between me and my soul. So go tend to yours today and do something fun and something loving and something sweet or something brave and something fierce, because again, we are multi-dimensional beings. So I like to joke that bipolar, oh come on, that's for amateurs. Be multi-fucking dimensional. And yes, swearing sometimes is just great for fucking emphasis, right? If you see it as low vibe or low frequency or uncouth, then I feel sorry for you because you're focused on the wrong things. Very much so. So get clear, get aligned, get right with whatever you think of as your God. As long as it doesn't have horns and isn't eating children, we're good. Bare minimum is acknowledging your fellow human and that they exist, they're here, they matter. They tell you to take up space and then they ignore you. They tell you to be confident and believe in yourself and then they ignore you. They tell you you're genius or beautiful or brilliant and then they tell you you're a bitch or, whatever, a fraud. Or another thing I'm a fraud at is that I'm not always as happy as I would like to be or present to be, but I'm trying to do the whole fake it till you make it thing. And sometimes it does actually work, and then other times it's just bypassing. So I can be guilty of that too. Toxic positivity is not actually, where it's at. Pep talks and lectures and all that. Like, we've all done it. I do it. I do it all the time inside my own head. I'm sure you do too. So let's put that down. It's heavy, and it's not going to go forward with us. Your baggage doesn't define you. It might shape you a little, and it might, sometimes limit you, but it doesn't stop you from loving yourself or others. You want to go into romantic love, platonic love, erotic love. I don't know, it's just all maybe agape, right? Like that so-called unconditional love. People like to talk that talk and not necessarily walk that walk, right? When you've been cast off by your own mother, you just don't believe in that. You just don't. But I do believe in joy and the power and magic of joy and genuine joy. It's not joy, or glee or mischief at someone else's expense or at their pain or doing fucking Easter eggs and lyrics. Like, no, there's no joy in that. There's only cruelty and malice. So true joy is like, okay, if you're going to write a song about someone or for them, sit down in a field, a meadow of flowers, and get your acoustic and play it for them directly. Look them in the eyes. If you're going to, take someone's life and experience and put it in shows or on movies or in books, then credit them and compensate them. These are simple things. This is not, I'm not talking rocket science here or fake space launches. But basic human decency. Like, how about we get back to that, and stop trying to mask and tap dance and, the concepts of safety and dangerous, that's probably a whole other rant. But emotional safety is an inside job. Security is an inside job. These are illusions anyway, right? They're fleeting. Beauty is, again, in the eye of the beholder. So be beautiful, be your own kind of beautiful, and be strong and be brave, because that's what's going to survive. It's the dandelion and the cement, okay? Much love to you all. From my heart to yours.